Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Ambassador. Let me start by thanking you for sending officials to Maine last month to meet with our lobstermen, dealers, and processors. Since that visit, regrettably, the situation for the lobster industry has worsened. China is admittedly a very bad actor when it comes to trade, but we have to be sure that the actions we take don't end up hurting our own domestic producers. China, since that meeting, has slapped a retaliatory tariff on Maine's lobster. That is our state's largest export. It generates about $1.5 billion in economic activity in my state. And exports of Maine lobsters to China had nearly tripled during the past 3 years. Compounding the problem facing the industry is a new trade agreement between Canada and the European Union known as CETA. It has eliminated and phased out tariffs on frozen, live, and processed Canadian lobster that goes into the European Union. And so the result is that American lobster exporters are at a serious disadvantage because they're now facing tariffs of between 8 and 30% to sell into the European Union, which used to be a very profitable market, accounting for approximately 15 to 20% of the annual American lobster exports. So when you combine what's happening with Canada with the retaliation by the Chinese, my lobster industry is saying to me, how are we going to survive while the administration works out its long-term plan? And that's my question to you.
Well, thank you, Senator. I'm, of course, as you know, very familiar with the problem and the issue, and Ambassador Mahoney, who is behind me, was my deputy who went to Maine. And you are, of course, completely right that lobstermen from Maine are both targets of the Chinese, but also have this unfortunate circumstance that the relationship between the CETA, the FTA between Europe and Canada, has also taken away one of their markets. And I think the good news is that this is something we can now focus on in our talks with Europe. It's very much something that's on our mind and something that hopefully we can rectify in the context of those talks. The European part of it. The China part of it is more, is the same problem that we have on all the things that they target. And by the way, I want to make it clear, too, that there is no WTO, there is no international trade law justification for them taking these actions. They did it completely as rogue nations, and we've brought a WTO action against them for that. In the case of China and the specific retaliation, we are always willing to talk about China. We think managing that is going to be not just for lobster industry, but for others. Managing that relationship is going to be something that's going to require a lot of effort and a really an attempt to try to minimize the effects as we move forward on all the industries that are targeted by them. But I do think there is hope on the European side in the not too distant future that we can rectify that problem, because that's, even before the other things started, it was something that, because of you and some of your colleagues, was very much on our radar screen.
Thank you.